For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby Jones?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about 50
A suspect in the criminal investigation out of Fort Hood is dead. Officials say he killed himself overnight.
They needed that little music in the background. It goes, "Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed.
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
They dropped the ball, man. Like they said, he went AWOL, and that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate. But the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Right. He sees him taking off with the wife. They end up finding the wife murdered with the baby out of her, and they found the baby in another place.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one-stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Drunk Turkey Murder Mystery Show, where we talk about true crime and current murder mysteries that are going abroad. I'm your host, Daniel J., and alongside with me, as always, are my two buddies, Jaime G and Big Blue. Jaime, how you doing tonight? Are you drinking with us?
I am drinking, man. I'm drinking the Select Club Pecan Prairie.
Nice. What are you mixing that with?
Dr. Pepper.
You know, I'm gonna mute. That didn't sound right. It was supposed to sound like a drink being poured.
Oh, I thought you were talking about what I said. I was like, what?
Yeah. What about you, Big Blue? How you doing tonight? What are you drinking if you are?
I'm drinking some water, and so I had to work a lot later, but I might take a shot here for might.
Yeah, it's vodka.
Yes. Well, guys, we are the Drunk Turkey Show. We drink a little, we talk a little true crime. If you guys are having an alcoholic beverage with us today, let us know in the live chat what you're drinking. I want to say hello to a few of the early ongoers. Steve, how's it going? Thank you for being in the live chat. Sweet tea. They will update will come when they release the arrest affidavit. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Oh, good to see you, Kimberly. State of the Steelers. I wonder what he's doing on the show. Thank you, B Bent 810. Oh, nice. And he's having a Jack and Coke out there.
Nice. I might have that later.
Child of God, good evening. So, how's y'all's weekend gone? Y'all, anything new come up before we get into the show?
Not really, man. I've been just chilling, working, the usual. I know we had a little, what's it called? It was kind of a sad day yesterday, though.
Yeah, it was.
One of our childhood heroes passed away.
Yeah.
A lot of us '90s kids, man, grew up watching the show Power Rangers. You know what I mean? So right. that kind of sucked.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. We Jason Dave Frank passed away, and also known as Tommy from the Power Rangers, the Green Ranger. In fact, myself, Blue, and Hyman, and my wife, we went out to the Comic-Con here recently, and we got to see and meet with the Green Ranger himself. This was just a couple weeks ago, so
yeah.
Sad moment. Rest in peace.
Yeah, man.
And so
it sucks because, we saw him at the Comic-Con there in San Antonio. And then I didn't get no ill feeling. You know what I mean?
Right.
He treated us. He treated everybody with the utmost respect. He was
Yeah, man.
a genuine guy, man.
100%.
He was so respectful. He actually had to stop signing right when we were in line for him to sign. Right. He
Yeah.
had to go to the queue, and he gave us an option. He gave everybody an option. He said, "Look, I can do your autograph right now, and you don't have to wait for me, or you can wait for me to go through this queue. You know, give me the 30 minutes I have to be up there, and I'll come back and spend more time with y'all. And I'll come back and spend." He didn't even charge for everything. You know what I mean? Like he's a genuine guy, man.
Yeah.
No, for sure. He'll be missed.
He was one of my favorite ones.
For sure.
Oh yeah, man. I remember when I was young, man, playing out there with my friends. I was always the Green Ranger, and then I turned into the White Ranger, as you can see.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a little moment of silence for JDF.
Yeah.
Thank you. With that being said, let's talk. We got a new case today. We're talking the. I'm not sure if they're calling it the Idaho 4, but I did. I put that in the comment section. It's four murders that occurred. What was it? On November 12th, the night of November 12th, the morning of November 13th. And we're going to go through everything. And, a lot of our audience, I know if you guys have seen it, this case in other places, we understand that. However, for those that are in our audience that haven't, we're going to go through the entire case for everything that we know to this point. So basically on the evening of November 12th, morning of November 13th, 4 roommates were murdered. You had Xana Kernodle, 20 years old, Ethan Chapin, 20, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Madison Mogen, 21. Young people that had, a bright future ahead of them, going to a University of Idaho, and really had their future, bright as can be, and ahead of them, and they were gruesomely murdered just a little over a week ago. And so, initial thoughts, guys. What were your initial thoughts when you heard about the murders and whatnot? We'll start off with you, Jaime.
Oh man, when I heard about it, I thought it was more. It was like like the Ted Bundy situation. Remember, he went into that sorority and he killed a bunch of injured and killed some girls in that sorority. So when I heard that, I thought it was like something similar to that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty crazy. I mean, I thought it was just so sad. It was these bunch of young looking kids. It's unfortunate. I remember the police initially coming out and stating that this was a targeted thing, and that they believe that the people in the area, for the most part, were not in any immediate danger or imminent danger, things of that nature. Blue, what were your first thoughts on this case when you first heard the story that 4 college students had been murdered?
Man, I thought it was like a break-in gone wrong or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard for that to realize what went wrong once you start hitting the information about they let 2 live. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of weird to me. You know what I mean?
Right. And we'll get into that aspect of it as well. And so initially, early on, there was some speculation as to, who was involved. There was some pictures that were taken of police outside of trash bins in the area, measuring, tire marks in the street, things of that nature have come out since. And there was also a lot of speculation that went on with this case. A lot of folks assume that an ex-boyfriend named Jack was involved because there was numerous calls that went throughout the night to him before, apparently before the murders, and obviously before the murders. And, there was a guy with the hoodie outside of the food truck that was looking at the girls kind of suspiciously. And so there was a lot of rumors and speculation going out about this case. And I think that the Moscow Police Department, did the right thing by, in my opinion, releasing quite a bit of information, that way kind of dropping speculation on certain people who they feel were cleared. Kind of a lot different than the way the Delphi murder case was handled, which we're going to get into that case towards the end of the show. But with that being said, what do y'all think about how the Moscow Police Department have handled this situation by releasing so much information? We'll start off with you, Big Blue.
I think they're doing good. They're keeping us informed. They released some new information today or yesterday on Sundays actually about how the 911 call that was made about the unresponsive. I want to say teen, but she's in her 20s, so the unresponsive 20-year-old. But it wasn't made by one of the roommates. It was made by her phone, but it wasn't one of the roommates. I wonder if people came over and then they discovered the bodies when they, didn't get up in the morning. And because the cops were saying that there were a few people in the house that weren't there that night when they pulled up.
Right. And so right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of basically go down the timeline. And what I'm going to show everybody is kind of give a visual of everything as well as the way basically we saw it. So we're going to be looking at Google Earth as well. I have some places pinned already. So all right. So on the evening of the 12th, Kaylee and Madison were at a bar called the Corner Club. That one's going to be out here. They were out here till about 1:30 a.m. At that point, I know they got a private ride back to their residence, so I'm assuming they walked. It's only a couple blocks to the area where the food vendor grab truck was at. Now, this is where that video comes in, where there's somebody that looks like they're kind of following him, so to speak, or talking with him. And they were out here, and you can see that off of that Twitch stream that's been out. And so they left there and we're at home out this direction right here at the residence by 1:45. Okay, they were out at the bar. At the food truck, they were obviously drinking some alcohol. And so, they were obviously, kind of, you could tell that they've been drinking. And so they took a ride home. The person who gave them a ride has also been cleared by police, by the way. And so Ethan and Xana weren't that far. They were seen out here at the Zeta Chai house and believed to have returned home by 1:45 as well. So everybody is here by 1:45. At 2:45 in the morning, I believe it was a total of 7 calls went out from Kaylee's phone and Madison's phone to the ex-boyfriend, who was far away. He's also been cleared. The family has vouched for him as well. And so they vouched for him. They don't believe that he was involved. I believe he was like 5 hours away or whatnot. And so basically the next morning, also at the house were 2 other residents, right?
Yeah.
And the next morning, the 2 other residents that were there, they fell asleep. The next morning they woke up and they assumed that one of the deceased had passed out, was unconscious, and based on what reports of police were, they contacted a couple of their friends. Their friends showed up, and one of the friends, as the police officer described it at the meeting, contacted the police from one of the other residents who were not injured, their cell phone. And so
yeah,
right now they stated that there's no sign of there wasn't a sign of a break-in or anything like that. There is rumors and speculation that it's possible that they went in through the side door, glass door back here, which leads into the second floor. Had they gone in through the front, there was a keypad that had a lock with a numerical code, and so I believe it was one of the sisters from either, I think it was Kaylee or Madison, one of their sisters had came out and stated on the news report that a lot of people may have had that combination to that door, and so it's quite possible they could have gone through there. I'm assuming that the two roommates that weren't harmed were in the first floor, and that the four that were harmed obviously were in the second floor and the third floor.
Yeah.
Right. But there's nothing saying that's been out there that said that the two roommates that weren't injured were on the first floor or second or third. And so this is the back area that you would enter the sliding glass door. And so let's see. Just gonna go through a little bit of the comments real quick. What do y'all have any comments about where they're at, Jaime or Blue?
What's it called? Well, the details about where they found the bodies, they're kind of vague. We don't know who was where. I think it will give us a little bit more. It will give us a little bit more of a picture if we knew that. But yeah, from like you said earlier, like one of the sisters said that a lot of people had that key code password, right?
Right.
And anybody could have gone through there. And the cops said there was no forced entry, no damage anywhere but to the property. Like I didn't hear nothing about someone breaking the window, the sliding door. So like apparently either they knew the code or that the sliding door was open for them to get it.
Right. And thank you. I call BS. Hit the like button, y'all. Thank you so much. Also, hit the BH. Hit the like. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. The police also released and were asking the public if they had any surveillance from like rings or those Amazon cameras that you get to protect your home and whatnot. They were asking for those type of footage from a certain area. They listed a boundary. I put the boundary right, kind of show the 4 points. It was going to be off of Taylor Avenue, which is just north of where the victim's residence is. The west boundary is the man, I'm going to mess this word up, but it's Arboretum and Botanical Garden. It's going to be to your west boundary here.
Close enough, bro.
I tried, buddy. I tried. And so 277 or Highway 95 from this boundary up here from Taylor Avenue to West Palaus River Drive, and then this road down here. So this is basically the square that they're wanting information from. Now, they did extend it all the way down south to the 2700 block of U.S. Highway 95, which could lead that, would maybe make you think that potentially this person came from out of town, because that's leaving Moscow, Idaho. That's taken off. That's going away from there. So, that's one thing to note is perhaps maybe the police. They said early that they felt that this was a targeted event, and so I wonder if maybe perhaps them extending it down this direction leaves that open for the possibility that this person didn't come from Moscow. And so there's that. But, having this area open and only, really trying to focus in on this area for anything in particular, I think that's a big clue. I think they think that either the person, either drove through there or is from there. You get what I'm saying? Because, two of the girls were out here in this area, and maybe perhaps they already have footage and they can clear it up, but
Yeah.
you would see if somebody would follow them also. You'd want also footage from this area to see if anybody's following them.
Yeah. I think it was Kaylee that supposedly, like, months prior to this incident, that she was saying that she had a stalker also.
Right.
I
heard
don't know.
about
I don't know how far they went into investigating that,
Mhm.
but that might be a big hint, especially if, like, this guy was stalking her. He knows where she's going. She's been. She usually, what places she attends frequently, and especially where she lives.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. And so, all right, here, let me find a good spot to bring everybody in. So this is the actual interior of the home. Let me pull this out of here. And so there's the kitchen. This is probably the second floor, maybe the third floor loft. So this is this would be the door in question as far as entering the second floor. If they would have came in through this glass door, if it was unlocked, they would come into the second floor. Perhaps the target was, or this was a targeted incident, the target was on the third floor and they had to get through whoever was on the second floor to get to the third floor. That's one consideration as to why the other two roommates weren't involved. This goes right into the kitchen. Huh.
Did they? I don't know if they released the details of the autopsy. I want to see if any of
They did.
But did it go into details who had the worst of it, like who got multiple stab wounds? Because if that was the case, like, I want to know if maybe it was a certain person that they were targeting. I mean, that certain person will be, have more damage on her body, or his body. But
Right.
I don't think they said how many stab wounds each person didn't receive.
No, the only thing, the only thing that they put out there was that that it was homicide caused by a knife, a relatively large knife.
Yeah.
I think we have a picture of it, and we'll show the type of knife. But
those photos that they've been showing on the news where the two girls sitting, giving the other girl piggyback ride, they got her off of Kaylee's Instagram, because I'm on it right now, and I see those photos on there.
Yeah.
You can see the rest of the roommates on there too.
Screenshot that, Blue, and send it in the group, please. Man, hearing this and hearing what happened, I couldn't help but feel like whoever did this, one, they had to have been familiar with the area, known about the back sliding door potentially being open. He went into, if he did go through the sliding glass door like this, he possibly went into the kitchen. There's a possibility he took the knife from there.
I doubt it, because I believe that the cops were looking for a certain type of knife, combat knife.
That's true.
I doubt this. I don't think it will be a kitchen knife. I think they had. They said that for the autopsy, it seemed like the knife was serrated. Is that what it is?
I believe so. Like where it's double-sided.
Yeah, like when I was like ruled the cutting point. The other one's almost like to saw.
Right.
Yeah.
As you can see, like if somebody wanted to come in through the second floor, if somebody left this open, it's open to the area. Watch. Let's see. So this is a house right there. There's nothing stopping anybody from walking right around the corner right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's also a set of stairs on the other side by the photos that I'm seeing on Instagram.
Right here?
Is that there's on the other side of the house, the back side?
Oh.
I think it goes up to that third floor.
Really? Huh. That's crazy, man. I mean, it's just so sad and unfortunate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing that the cops were asking like local dealers that sold like weapons, knives, and whatnot, to see if they can get a somewhat of an idea of who might be a collector of these type of weapons, and so they can go question them. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Barbara Ann says there's no stairs, just the deck. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. I'm not seeing the stairs also. It might be just a pathway to the back area. Yeah. Small area, like
it's pretty condensed in there.
Yeah, like you wouldn't go out here unless you had business here. It's not like an area where you would be driving through just to drive through. You get what I'm saying? Like this is the main road out here. I think that's Taylor. Right. And so back here in this little area it's not a throughway traffic area.
Yeah, it's not. There's a lot of houses, a lot of traffic.
All right, see, I knew I recognized this. Watch. Where's it at? I gotta find it. But right here, found it. They were looking at that trash can. This is the photo I was talking about, where they were looking at the tire tracks that look. I guess you can say they look kind of fresh, and somebody speeding away would be. And this is like a turn and go. So whoever left there did it was in a hurry.
That's a real wheel drive car. You can tell right away.
Yeah.
What's it called? But I wouldn't think he would take off like that, especially because supposedly there was no screams, no noise happening while this person went in there into the house and started stabbing people. So I don't see why he would peel out and make more noise, bring more attention to, the incident.
Right.
So it kind of like, but it's like it's just speculation at this point right now.
I know that I saw and heard on the news that somebody speculated that he potentially had gotten hurt.
Look, when the most stabbing happen, usually the knives they use, they don't have that guard. So like when they stab someone, they get blood on themselves and it makes it real slippery. Sometimes what happens is when they stab, their own hand travels down the blade, you know what I mean? And they end up cutting themselves. So what happened is I think that's what the police is doing. Took all the evidence, the bed sheets and everything, they're going to test them out to see if there's a different kind of a blood that's not one of the victims, and see if they can match that.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is maybe perhaps he hurt himself in the struggle, and maybe he was trying to get out of there because of that.
Yeah, but if they're saying it's one of those combat style knives, they do have a guard. I don't know, but it could. I mean, if it has a guard, it's harder for your hand to slide down.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he didn't get hurt by one of the victims, fighting.
Right.
Defending themselves.
Retired hippies asked, was there really blood coming out of the foundation? I heard that there was blood coming out of like the window or something. I don't know how true it is. We can look at footage of the area that day. Let's see.
I got corrected. Somebody said that there's only a deck on the third floor. So
Yeah,
I'm probably looking at a different house with the stairs next to it.
we'll look at it right now. So this is just a. I want to point something out real quick.
What's it called? What's it? Oh, okay. Let's see what.
You see what I'm saying?
Those are two straight over lines, aren't they?
No. Well, those are tags.
Like tags.
That's to mark that something is there.
You can't zoom in.
Oh, I wish I could. But
I do see a little small mark, but I can't.
What that is, bro, is they're pointing out probably fingerprints.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I don't think it might be
or
blood
prints. There's a good chance there could be like faint blood print.
Yeah.
Let's just say he wore gloves. Then having this type of murder that happened is definitely going to leave blood like on his hands in person. And so him running out and potentially grabbing, if he went out the same way he came in, which one would only speculate, right, that he probably would. He may have grabbed that, pushed it open, and taken off. I wonder, and maybe nobody even noticed it until it was too late. I wonder if that door was ever closed, like after he left, like if they woke up and they found it open.
That's the thing. That's the thing, man. Like after they called 911, there was people in there. There were, pretty much in the scene. So like they were contaminating,
right. Apparently, they thought whoever it was that was in the house, and you can see here the forensic folks searching the trash bins in the nearby area as well.
Do you know if it was a Saturday night, so I'm guessing everybody was having a good time drinking and whatnot. Do you know if the other two surviving roommates? I know they got there like around 1 a.m, right? They got there before everybody did, right?
I think the two surviving roommates were already home.
They're already home, but
yeah,
were they intoxicated? Is that why they couldn't hear anything? Because I know Kaylee has a dog. And if this dog saw a stranger, I'm pretty sure this dog would bark. But if he saw somebody that he recognized and felt comfortable around, then I don't think it'll make a big deal. So that's why I was thinking that, if a stranger comes into Kaylee's room and her dog's there, it's gonna make a big fuss. And I don't know how the other roommates would have not heard all the commotion.
As far as one of the parents saying there's a ton of digital evidence, whatever that means, that's probably meaning like you have a lot of the text messages going out at a certain time, their locations based off GPS and phone data, things of that nature. That leaves a digital fingerprint, so to speak, of where they've been and where they've gone. And, they probably got a lot of tips from a lot of the camera sources that they were looking for, and they got to go through all those to see if they can find somebody who is in the area. Let's just say they find they get a picture of a vehicle, run its license plate, find out it was in the area, but it, shouldn't have been in the area. But,
it could also be maybe, how they called Kaylee called Jack, right? Like 8 times or so, right? Maybe they left even a voicemail or even text messages.
Right, but I think if somebody was breaking in, they'd also call 911, or if they were in trouble, they would have called 911. It wasn't uncommon.
The other room is that they called 911 right away. They called their friends before they even called 911.
Right, they assumed that for whatever reason, whoever it was on the second floor, based on the police, they stated that they thought whoever it was there on the second floor was passed out. And
with no blood.
That's the one thing. I don't understand where they found them that they were passed out and they were unconscious, because that's the way the call came in.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe one of the victims was in their bedroom. They didn't completely die. They got up, tried to crawl to the door, and passed away at the door, and you couldn't open the door. You get what I'm saying? And so they're like, man, somebody passed out on the other side of this door. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a possibility, but apparently they're cleared. Whatever it is, that they did, the police feel confident enough that they weren't involved in it.
Yeah, and then like even when they went on, how they went to get food at what was that truck? That food truck called?
Grab something. Grab truck.
Grub
truck. Yeah,
Right.
there you go. Yeah.
Like even the manager there said that they didn't see him in distress or anything. Like he didn't notice that anybody was following him around or nothing.
Here's my 2 cents on the whole situation, right? These girls were on the phone till like 2:45, right? They were asleep, right? Like, I wonder if somebody had been watching them, because like they were. What are the chances that you go break into a house right after they fell asleep? You know what I mean? Like the moment that they fell asleep, and I know that the time frame is between 3 and 6 a.m. Like going closer to the morning time, like 4, 5, 6 in the morning, like that's it's just weird to me that she was on the phone trying to make a contact with her ex-boyfriend. Not saying that he's involved. I just find it weird that it happened in that order. I think somebody had to have been watching them for a while. And you guys mentioned that she had a stalker. Mm-hmm. Then if that's the case, then that would make sense. And yeah, no, the ex-boyfriend was cleared today as well. I don't think it was the ex-boyfriend.
You said he was 5 hours away?
I think that's what I had heard from the one of these news articles, that he was in Boise or something like that.
But he never answered.
Well, it was at 2:45 in the morning. He said he was asleep. Like, you know, and what I had heard also in that same article was that it wasn't uncommon for Kaylee to call multiple times to try to get somebody to pick up the phone. And so calling.
And supposedly they were still friends, right? After they had just recently broke up, right?
They had just broken up. However, according to the family, they were like on the mends. They were on the way of getting back together. And so, you know, at this point, you know, in my opinion, you know, what still quite, you know, puzzles me is that the police came out early and said, like, the students, the staff, the people of Moscow, Idaho weren't in any immediate danger or imminent danger, that this was a targeted event.
Yeah.
But they don't have a suspect to, like, I don't understand how you can't have one without the other. You have to have a reason to believe that it was a targeted event, especially if you're trying to put if there is somebody out there who's, you know, breaking into houses or whatnot, you would rather have the community be, you know, on alert versus, all right, you know, there's nobody out there. You get what I'm saying? I couldn't understand that.
No, man. I believe. Well, I think that it was someone they knew. Obviously, either he went through a sliding door that was open, knew the code password, right, for the front door. Like I said, I think one of them had a dog. I'm pretty sure the dog would, you know, bark if he didn't, recognize a person. But apparently, if he didn't do anything, like, the dog probably recognized who he was. You know what I mean? Didn't see him threat. But I don't know. It can go, you know, in different directions, and it's just it's very unfortunate that these people, you know, especially their families, what they're going through right now.
Oh yeah, man. They're going from, you know, Thanksgiving's coming up, everybody's coming home for the holidays, to having to plan a funeral and having to deal with all this press about, you know, their child that got murdered. So I'm pretty sure those families are pretty devastated right now, man.
And Blue was correct. You can see the staircase going up. If this is the same house, if this is their house, but there is a staircase going up in the back.
It looks like the same house, but I don't know.
Right. It could be a different house, but if this is the same house, I believe this is the folks that resided there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a staircase going up.
I like how that screenshot has our chat in it.
What's that?
I said I like how that screenshot had our chat in it.
Oh yeah, it does. But yeah, that was there appears from the opposite side that there is a staircase going up. So it's possible that they entered into the third floor.
Also, the police and the police and the autopsy report revealed that there was no SA involved.
Right, they said that as well. There wasn't. So it sounds like it was somebody very angry.
That's what I want to find out. I want to find out who, unfortunately, got the worst of it, because then they will point you in the direction that the target was. You know what I mean? People who tend to kill someone for passion or whatever, they tend to go for the if they kill with the knife, they tend to overdo it. You know what I mean? They get into this frenzy.
Right.
I don't know about the rest of the other three victims, but maybe this person just went through all of them. Maybe he didn't know who was in there and tried to kill everybody. The other two roomers that survived supposedly locked the door behind them, because gotcha. I know they had I believe they had people over. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that somewhere that they went in to go lay down and go to sleep. They locked the door because there were still people in the house. Like they were kind of drinking, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Maybe the suspect went in there, checked the door, locked, moved away from that one, went to the other one, checked that one, and I guess he just went checking the door to see where he can get in.
And the other thing is too, like, let's just say that this person knows them and they're also a college student, right? Yeah. Like, it would not be obvious if this guy fled home, because a lot of people are leaving home. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that puts another dynamic to it. I would look at memorials. They had a memorial, outside of the university. I would really take some pictures, if the police are probably doing so. Look at who's showing up, because most of the time, somebody that commits a murder goes back, whether they're, trying to put themselves in the scene again, like Richard Allen did, be part of the search.
Yeah.
Or if they're, just trying to take more from the victims by reliving the event, by seeing the pain that they're causing others because of the crime that they committed. And so many times they go back. And so I would take a really good hard look at who's going there, and especially if one of them is this guy that was a stalker.
Yeah. Most of them, if killers usually they go back to relive their kill, and it's happened with serial killers. It happened with, like you said, they try to blend in with the search so they can take the suspicion away from them.
Right.
But from the police, from what I heard, they didn't specify who had defensive wounds. They just said that one of the victims had defensive wounds, but they didn't specify who it was. If I'm sure it was, I want to say, if Ethan was an athletic guy, he was pretty athletic. He was, in good shape, and he was overpowered by someone. So,
yeah, I think the person that probably gave him who had the defensive wounds, if I had to guess, was probably his girlfriend Xana.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that they probably were sleeping, in the same room together.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing too.
And I'm thinking he took out the man first, the bigger threat, and then got into it with the female. Yeah. And I think the rest of them were sleeping for the most part. That's what the police have indicated, at least. Look, see, I thought I saw that also. Xana's dad said she had defensive wounds. And so that makes a lot of sense. It's a little bit of speculatory, because at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't have the autopsy in front of us to say, where the wounds were or things of that nature. And so, but we can kind of follow some some breadcrumbs, so to speak, to kind of piece together what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe there's going to be a press conference, another one coming up here pretty soon on this case. Do you guys think that the police know more than what they're saying? You know, I know at the end of the press conference, they alluded to not knowing much more. What do you think? Go ahead, Jaime. Oh, well, you know what? Go ahead, Blue. We'll start off with you first.
They have to have a little bit of information that they can't release, you know, just like the other case they were following. Just because they don't want the actual killer to get spooked and run. You know what I mean? Even though, like you said, most kids are going home from college, but even at that, what if they have a suspect already in mind? They say, "Oh, we have a suspect in line," and then they take off again. So that's something that I think they have to keep a little bit under the wraps.
Right. What about you, Jaime?
Yeah, I'm sure they do, man. Usually that's what happens with cases like this. They give out details, not really like all the details they have, but they do give out details so you can get a picture of what they're looking for or whatnot. But I mean, the local PD is working with the FBI. They have 50 investigators out there doing their, trying to canvass the place and find every single little piece of evidence that can point them to the suspect, and hopefully that works out, because there's way too many cases out there that this happens, and they go years upon years before they're even solved and bring closure to their families.
Right. And Barbara Ann says yes, on November 23rd there's another press conference on this, and so we'll actually probably try to cover that, if not the 23rd, maybe the 25th, because Turkey Day is a big day for us at the Drunk Turkey Show.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. So I think we have a picture. I believe there it is. This is what the knife in question that they were speculated to have potentially have used. And you sourced this from the New York Post, is that correct, Jaime?
Yeah, the New York Post put out that picture, says this is somewhat what they're looking for, and that they're asking local retailers, people who, stores that sell this kind of knife, to see if they have anybody that collects them they can question. But like, sorry, I was choking there. I was trying to think and speak at the same time. It wasn't working out for me.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, man. Like, if can you put that picture back on there?
Yeah. Let me pull it. There it is.
No, okay. That knife has that small guard on it, so that will stop it from sliding down with, because you get blood on your hands, obviously from someone.
You would cut yourself,
and your hand sometimes will slide down and cut yourself with the blade. With that guard, it helps you from not. You can put a lot of force into it. You know what I mean?
Right. What would somebody typically use this knife for?
Man, I'll use it for hunting.
Knife? Right.
I would use it to skin more than anything. The blade is not as rounded as I would like for it to use for skinning a deer. This looks like more like old military style. You know what I mean? This one, the one they're looking for, I don't think it has a bayonet one where you can connect it to the front of your rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is it. Hey, there's different types, you know what I mean?
Right, for sure. That's just, like you said, that's like an old military style. Somebody probably be fascinated with the military. Let's see. We'll go through some of these comments real quick.
Yep.
The Hungover Turkey Show on Friday. You know it. We're going to be food coma and everything.
Oh, man. I had a Friendsgiving yesterday, and I'm hungover, and I have a food coma. So.
What's y'all's favorite part of Thanksgiving, man? What food was your favorite?
Oh man, I love the turkey, bro. But
Turkey.
I like fried turkey. You have to drop it in the fryer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like the stuffing, man. The stuffing's pretty dope.
Yeah. What about you, Big Blue? What's your favorite part?
I was gonna say stuffing, but Jaime already said it. So I like
That
the
doesn't mean.
pies, the pecan pie.
Ooh, very nice,
Let's
very
see.
nice.
B. Ben says, I think they used the knife on purpose because it was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would make sense.
Even though a weapon like a firearm would probably do faster work, but like in that you just see the neighborhood it's pretty compact in there.
Yeah.
If you're one gunshot, two gunshots, man, they'll call the police, especially in the town of 25,000 people. It's not big, it's not huge. They'll get in there within minutes. You know what I mean?
So apparently there was a dog that was skinned and filleted. It wasn't their dogs, but a neighbor's. Huh.
Oh wow.
That's
Well,
insane.
serial killers likes to hurt animals, so that could be it. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but like ever, well, I've been noticed that a lot of more people with mental problems are starting to lash out more. You know what I mean? Like doing these kind of things. So that could be something that could be in this case.
Well, I don't see anybody in their right mind doing something like this. So
Yeah, but
kinda,
I was, I mean, also with the lockdowns and whatnot, it might have not helped either.
no, I understand that. The mental health is a huge part of today's living and today's life, and
Yeah.
it's gone extreme. Before, you know, it just didn't seem like these type of things happened as often as they do in today's stage. Um, let's see. Uh, Bushcraft because you can split wood, dig, attach a spear, skin, and cleaver. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, this case is still ongoing. They've kind of not ruled out anybody, is what they said, but they've cleared some people. They've cleared the boyfriend. They cleared the guy at the taco truck. They cleared the driver that drove the girls to the residence. And it's going to be a situation where, like we said before, we think that the police probably know a little bit more than they're saying. My biggest clue to that is that they're on to something or someone. Is that they felt that this was a targeted event early on, and that I feel that to say that and put that out there, I think they have some kind of idea of what happened, so to speak. Maybe not who, but of why or what, and maybe they just need to get the proof and the evidence to really nail someone. And so, what do y'all think before we start talking about the Delphi case?
No, yeah, definitely, man. The police know how to tell us every single little detail. Not yet, at least. I believe. I'm thinking that there might be another incident, not like this one, but similar to it, like a break-in that might, give some clues to what happened on this one, and they're trying to keep it on wraps because they might have something else going on, with this suspect.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and as more details come out on this case, guys, we'll be going out, talking about this case as well. Tomorrow we'll be going live again, so hit that like and subscribe button. Tomorrow we'll be going live again, talking about the probable cause affidavit that is potentially being released in the Delphi case. Yeah, we'll do that here in a minute, Jaime. With that being said, what I wanted to talk about a little bit more, and it's kind of just going back to what we were talking about last time with the Delphi case and looking at the bridge. I kind of wanted to retrace some steps that potentially where the girls went to and how they got to where they ended up, so to speak. And so we looked at this picture last time, and we looked at how the girls, and due to footprints, had and this is Libby and Abby had went down the hill and went through the creek to where they were at, right? I had found let's see. Let me pull it up right here. And so this is a video of the bridge, and this was taken 5 years ago. This is shortly after the murders had occurred.
Can you move us out of the way?
Yes. So for those that say that Richard Allen or whoever the bridge guy wasn't looking down, there's no way anybody's walking that bridge not looking at their steps, even if they've walked it 100 times.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't look safe at all, man.
No, in fact, the person taking the footage talks about how, you can see right here, that tire right there is rotted. You can't step on all of them.
Man, I just can't believe these girls were on top of this, walking in like nothing. And when was this filmed? Do you know?
This was right after the murders.
Oh, wow. So now it's even crappier than it was back then.
Yeah. So you can see right there.
Yeah, you can. You see the rotting of it.
Yeah, like you can see where the railroad ties are rotting. Look at that. You can't step on these. I mean, super dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's pull this back real quick.
There's a reason why those get replaced every 2 years in the actual train tracks, or every couple of years. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And let's look right here. And so the lady who's walking this track right now is walking down this direction towards where they were, right?
Is that where they crossed over?
This is where, so over here in this direction is the trail, right? This is where the trail that most people walk. There's a barricade right here. You're not supposed to come on the bridge.
Yeah.
They came on the bridge and they were way over here when the bridge guy approached him. And so I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit.
How do you know how long that trail that bridge is?
It's a good distance.
Not only that, but if you look at considering that none of these trees have leaves, that's pretty dense, man.
Yeah, no, it is. And as you can see, as they're walking up, let me put this closer. You can see the private driveway that's down there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, see, this lady here almost fell down while walking this. And it gets pretty eerie here pretty soon because they get to the part where, so they're gonna pan back towards
the barricade.
Back, right? Boom. And this is where they were standing.
Wow. And
this was just, I think, a couple of weeks, if not less than that, from the murders when this video was taken. It's an eerie feeling to see that.
Yeah, man. What kind of bridge is that, by the way?
It was a railroad bridge, I think.
Really?
Back in the day.
It looks flimsy as...
Or I have no idea what it was.
Yeah, because it looks real sketchy.
Well, I know that it talks about some history on this on this other page, and we'll go through it here in a minute. But these are the platforms, and this is where they were at too. And
even towards the end of that bridge itself, even if you fall over to the side, you'll get seriously injured.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Let alone falling from the middle of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just behooves me, that to think that, let your kids go on that, man. It's, I mean, that's just, I can't comprehend that. You know what I mean?
And look, this right here could be where he goes down the hill.
Ooh.
You can see where
it does look like somebody was dragged. That's crazy.
That's police tape. That's how soon that it was.
It's a crime tape there?
Yeah, that's crime
scene?
Yeah.
She's gonna get closer to that.
Yeah, but they don't say anything other than that they for whatever reason they can't go back out that way.
You think that's where he was parked?
No, I don't think he was parked back here. No, I think he was parked down there.
Because that's the private road, right?
No, right here where they're at, it's going towards some private property. The private road was back down.
Oh, okay.
Down that direction.
Oh, I see. Yes. Sorry about that.
So, my opinion, this is just my opinion, complete speculation, y'all, is that he had a vehicle parked down here, told him down the hill. Girls went down the hill, and took off across the river. Let me see.
You think the girls panicked and booked it?
I do. I really do.
Yeah, I mean that would explain her losing a shoe somehow. I mean, like.
So this is down the hill. Once you get down the hill, there's the bridge. I believe they came down that direction right there. There's this big old wide open meadow area right here.
Yeah, and that's the creek is down there, right?
That creek is right there.
Yeah.
Like the private road is up here. That's the private road. And so this is the creek they ran across.
That's shallow.
It's shallow on this side.
Yeah.
It's shallow on this side. That's for sure.
And you said this was only a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, this was only a couple of weeks after the murders.
So like we're almost seeing exactly what it was when
it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as deep as I thought it was in the beginning.
Right.
Let's see if they get closer. Because it widens out a lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, watch. How thick do you think that piece of tree trunk is? Because it's completely submerged right there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be in mud though too.
Yeah.
I want to say it's probably like knee deep.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
You know what I mean? But I mean, like, and like, that's like mud, and you know, that's how probably one of the girls lost her shoe, like Lou said earlier.
It's not easy walking through muddy rivers. Trust me, I've lost shoes. I fell.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can see how that's not an easy like walk through. That's very muddy. I was, you know, that's one thing I thought about was like, well, maybe if it was really rocky at the bottom, it may not be as muddy, but there would be, you know, anybody stepping into that would sink down.
Yeah, especially a guy like Richard Allen's weight is, you know, like size. He would have had trouble. I don't see how. Even if the girls got away, I don't see him catching up to them.
Right. And so,
man, at this point, man, kind of maybe
you can kind of see the tide, not the tide, the current of the river there, and it don't look that shallow. It don't look deep, but it doesn't look like less than knee. Maybe right there, that's shallow.
Yeah, this was certain parts that has like probably little dips and whatnot. Right there, right down the stream, that looks a lot wider and a lot deeper. Yeah, especially like on the edges, like where it's all super like damp and wet, and creates all that black mud. You know, like one that you just step on and it's like suction cups on your feet.
For sure. B. Ben says that's why I don't think Ronald Logan was leading the girls. Had to be Ari. I don't think Ronald Logan was involved.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it came out. I was watching this thing on. I was reading an article on Fox 59 about the case that just recently popped out. They were talking about Ronald Logan. He ended up serving 18 months because he violated probation due to the findings of this case. So because he was out driving around, they gave him 18 months. That was the reason why he lied. He didn't want to go to jail for a year and a half.
Yeah, that sounds perfectly plausible.
Right. The article stated that sources don't believe Ronald Logan was at all, involved. And when you look at um, how well, let's go back to the maps real quick, and I'll pull up the next group. And so you have the bridge here. You have the bodies found around right here.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Logan lives way over here. I mean, 77-year-old Ronald Logan would have to have gone here, cross the bridge, through here, commit the murders, go back home. I mean, it's about a mile round trip.
Yeah.
0.88 mile round trip. Now, there was a lot of video of Ronald Logan after the fact, all right?
Yeah.
And I would think, in my opinion, somebody that committed a double murder, moved some bodies around. Libby wasn't the smallest person. And so, move, stage, fight these two girls, do what he did, and not be sore, not be hindered by, those things. He was walking up and down the mountains fine the next day, apparently, or the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Ronald Logan wasn't involved, in my opinion.
Let alone not leave any evidence.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hey, they did the searches. In my opinion, if there's a connection with anybody else, it'd have to be Kegan Kline. You can follow the breadcrumbs. You see it. You see the breadcrumbs where they talk to him. It leads to a search in the river.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks after the conclusion of that search, there's another search done at Richard Allen's house, and then an arrest afterwards. Those are breadcrumbs. Those lead to probability and plausibility. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I know I had a guy in the live chat tell me, or not in the live chat, in the comment section, was telling me that there was no evidence that they were involved. And I'm not, I wasn't looking at the evidence that he was possibly involved by looking at the case, because he was saying there's no meetup, there's nothing planned, blah, 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 right? And I was like, well, I'm not looking at the evidence of the case. I'm looking at the actions of the officers, because they're going to tell you what they're thinking as well. You know what I mean? You can, you watch the police, you watch their actions, you look at the sketches. The first sketch was an old guy, clearly an old guy. You look at the search warrant. The police department had it hard for Ronald Logan. I think they were trying to get Ronald. Once they cleared him / figured out that what he was doing was violating his probation in a way that gave him 18 months, they had to look at somewhere else. You look at the second sketch, you look at the age range, you look at the timing of those things. It was all in, relatively around the same time. You look at Kegan Kline's dad, Tony Kline, kind of looks like that sketch to me. I think that's where the focus point went.
I think I saw somewhere that Keegan's dad, what's his name, Tony?
Yeah, Tony Kline.
Tony Kline supposedly would hunt in that area where in Ronald Logan's property. I don't know if that's true or not, but I saw that somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it at. But I do think that Kegan is like a middleman to this somehow. That he has to be involved in it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play devil's advocate and say, there's a possibility that he was targeting girls of that age in the area, that he would have probably messaged every girl in that area of that age. And if something would have happened to any of those girls, he would have been in contact with them through his online social media, Anthony Schott's profile, and not be involved in whatever happened to them. Those things are possible, but you look at the likelihood and the plausibility and the possibilities, 1 + 1 usually equals 2. You know what I mean? And you look at at the search, you look at the two searches back to back, and the thing is, and I understand that the police put out there that there was nothing found in the search at the river, and that it was looking at old tips, and the fact that Richard Allen came forward was the reason for them looking at him and doing the search. I don't buy it. You have to have the preponderance of evidence to get a search warrant. You can't just go based off of a tip.
Yeah, there has to be something solid.
You can't violate. Yeah, you're violating somebody's rights when you do a search and seizure. You're going into their property or place without their permission. There has to be evidence to, allow for the police to violate your rights in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so without that, and because here's the thing, if they go in there with oh man, he said he was there, and somebody else said that they saw him wearing the same clothes as the person on the bridge, and they're like, oh, he said he was there, somebody else identified him as being that guy wearing the same clothes, that's not enough. Not for a search warrant. And if they did that, because it's not hard to, judges have given probably search warrants to cops before without, probably reading the warrant sometimes. I know I've seen that before. Yeah. But in a high profile case like this, I doubt it. I doubt it. I think you have to have your T's crossed, your I's dotted, and your Q's slashed or whatever.
Yeah, there's way too much at risk.
Mm-hmm.
There's way too much. I mean, even if that's the case, let's say that the judge signed this warrant, a search warrant, and they didn't have no solid, evidence or whatnot towards him, that he could possibly be taken out.
Everything found in the search would be thrown out.
It will be thrown out.
It'll be, everything found in the search will be thrown out. You couldn't use it in court. You'd have to come across that evidence in another manner, or have him explain that evidence or bring up that evidence somehow without leading to the search.
Yeah.
And you would really put yourself, especially if, like, let's just say the evidence that they found was like DNA or a blood-soaked clothing that comes back to the victims. That is some smoking gun evidence that would have to be thrown out. That would completely throw the case out the books. You know what I'm saying?
Ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a comment right here. Let me put it up real quick. I think we mentioned this last time, right? The IP address. Richard Allen's IP address is linked somehow. I bet with the apps and phones being used in past, he had to sign in from his house. Yeah, I think so too. I think once you connect to your Wi-Fi to use a phone that's not in service, it connects to your Wi-Fi and it gives out that IP address. So it could be a digital footprint, right? Pretty much.
Right. Like, go ahead, Blue.
Nowadays, everybody's buying those things that hide your IP addresses now. VPNs, yeah. So
yeah.
It's hard to,
Yeah, but not 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Not 5 years ago, but now, yeah.
Yeah, I would believe, to me, the drinking too much already.
Yeah,
the breadcrumbs, the breadcrumbs lead to me. It's you have to, in order to get a search warrant for the house. And in my opinion, when you look at what the search warrant was and from the witnesses, it appears that there was 2 search warrant affidavits given to him, right? Because they had him outside for a while. Yeah. I think that they got a search warrant for one part, found certain evidence, and they needed a search warrant to investigate further. And so, in my opinion, it would have to be, all right, you have Richard Allen saying he was on the Monhan High Bridge. Mm-hmm. You have a phone that links back to the Anthony Schatz account that was used at his house.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would give you probable cause to search the house and the preponderance of evidence to search the house. And while you're there, you discover this, that, or a third something. And then that gives you the probable cause to take the truck. That gives you the probable cause to search the exterior of the house, the shed, the ground, the whole 9 yards. And so it has to be done in steps. And when you look at it, I feel like it's pretty clear that that's what they did.
I had a question, Danny. Let's say you get a search warrant just for phones, like electronics, right? Like phones, laptops, and the gaming systems, because you can also get into the internet that way, right? Let's say the search warrant was just for that, right? And they find the phones, and they end up finding something there in the residence. They have to get another search warrant for that.
Yep. Yeah. So let's just say, like you're saying, they find the phones. They're going through the phones, and let's just say the phone pops that, or let's just say while they're looking through a drawer, they find a souvenir, right? They have to take pictures of that souvenir. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Do not touch it. That's rule number one. Don't touch it. Take pictures of it. Articulate in your search warrant affidavit that you send off to your justice of the peace that during the conduction of a legal search, looking for this item during the search at this location at this part, while opening this, we noticed this souvenir, a souvenir that was taken from the crime scene, thus giving us probable cause to believe that Richard Allen committed this crime, and thus there could be other souvenirs in the house. We would like to have, because you have to be super specific about a lot of different things.
In this case, it's supposed to be the undergarment, right?
Well, possibly. I mean, there's a lot of things that they could have taken. There could have been jewelry. There could have been pictures. There could have been, what other piece of clothing. Also, there could have been, his personal clothing, potentially with the blood and DNA from the victims on it.
Yeah. You know what? I also had another question, but it has nothing to do about this case actually. But like on the first case with the 4 students, was it Idaho? What's it called? Blue. When you drink alcohol, that thing thins out your blood, right? Like you bleed out more if you get like a stab wound, right? Like you'll bleed out faster, right?
It does. It makes your blood thinner.
So that's what I don't get. Like going back. I'm sorry. Like, I know we're in the Delphi ones, but I was just thinking about the other ones. Like, how like they said that they thought that the person was just unconscious. I mean, if they were drinking and had alcohol in their system, that thinned out their blood, that blood it's gonna be gushing, dude, more than like normally does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Well, the theory that I would have was like if it was somebody in a bed that was stabbed in the bed, potentially, was in the room, didn't die, crawled towards the door, perhaps, and then was on the other side of the door. Blood dries fairly quickly too. It doesn't. It's not something that stays liquid for a very long time, and so. If the initial stabbing and the majority of the blood that was poured out was on the bed, and then she crawled and slid and died on her way, or he died on his way to the door. And they couldn't open the door. Majority of the blood could have been, in the room, and especially if there's like carpet. If there's carpet, then that's going to soak into the ground and it's not going to travel as far.
Okay. Well, what about in this case now with the Delphi murders, does the weather play a part in how the blood is like comes out like from a wound, like, because supposedly it was pretty cold, right?
Well,
was it cold?
It was a warm day that day that it happened, and postmortem or mortem, however you want to say it, after death,
mortem.
Blood is just gonna sit there wherever it lays. There's no blood pumping anymore, creating.
No, because if they went through this water, wouldn't that be super fucking cold?
Right, but it's not cold enough to
Yeah.
to do anything crazy. It wasn't that
Okay.
cold out there.
Yeah, I was just wondering because, like, I really don't know about, how that will work, especially now, like blood splatter. I know this, they do all that. It's crazy.
Right, and when it comes to the search warrant on Ronald Logan, and
Mm.
referencing the Delphi case, they talk about that there was a significant amount of blood that was lost, and at the location of where it happened, and the bodies were staged and moved. It really, in my opinion, when I read that article or that search warrant article and read that, it
Mm.
sounds like they know where it happened and it happened there. Um, and it talks about, like, given the nature and how much blood was lost, that the person who committed the crimes would have gotten a significant amount of blood on them. I don't think there's a question mark of where those murders had occurred. I think it was why they occurred, where they occurred, has been the biggest question mark, because it seems like, especially early on, that the indication was that it was Ronald Logan, so that he was probably taking them back to Ronald Logan's house or that direction, which makes sense as to why they would be going in that direction. I just don't know about that path that they would take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, going through the water, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's weird. It's a weird scenario.
Yeah. I was trying to, like, just put both of them together. You know what I mean? Because of the, the amount of blood that in the Delphi case, that if the weather or the cold would affect the way the blood comes out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah, see, the 54 to 61 degrees is the typical water temperature for Deer Creek in February.
Oh, okay.
That's
super cold for me. Super.
I mean,
cold.
yeah, that's cold to get into, and that'll cause some issues. But I don't think that outside of them walking across the river to where they ended up being murdered at, is, I think that is more important than, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't think the water had that much to do with it.
Yeah, if anything, it would have been the only way it would affect it if it were in there for a long time and a lot colder, right?
Right, or they died in the water, things of that nature. But, going through that water and being in the cold, like, even if you go and commit the murders and get all the blood on you, even if he threw himself in the water to wash it off, it stains, man. It doesn't come out very easy.
See, because I seen I've seen other cases where they kill the person, right? They kill the person and they leave it inside of a room and they lower the AC all the way to the coldest, so like it'll take longer and they won't be able to determine exactly the time of death.
Yeah.
Wait, run that by me again.
I said I've seen cases where like people have murdered another person and they leave them in the room, right, like a regular room, and they lower down the AC all the way down. That way they can't they can't determine the exact time of death.
Right. So when it comes to like heat, cold, like the elements are going to determine like how the body breaks down and how fast it breaks down. In the heat, humidity areas, you can expect, like, for instance, we'll go back to the Brian Laundrie from the Gabby Petito case. He blasted himself in the Everglades type of humid, area. And within, what was it, like, he was missing for like 3 weeks or so. There was nothing left. He deteriorated. And that wasn't something that was uncommon because of that area. In the colder area, the deterioration does happen slower. The effects of death happen a little bit slower as well. But these girls were found so soon. Like, you can probably tell based on rigor mortis how many times that they've gone into it. So rigor mortis is the stiffening of the body. It happens in phases. And so the first time it happens is a couple of like 9-10 hours or so. I mean, it varies, but for the most part. And it'll come in phases where it comes and goes and comes and goes. And so they probably could have told based on the rigor mortis. And there's a lot of other ways of telling. I'm not a pathologist, didn't work with one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, those are more of those guys' questions to answer. But
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. I mean, I just,
Right.
I've seen other cases that do refer to them to those questions, and I just I was wondering, like, maybe you or Blue knew a lot more about that.
Oh, Blue might. Are you familiar with the decomposition of the body depending on the surrounding areas?
I mean, not too much. I don't deal with that much at work. Everybody
Right.
that I deal with is still alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, I think that when you look at the situation there, as far as how, it doesn't matter how well you know the area, you can only see so well in the dark. And there was people out there looking for a long period of time for these girls, right?
Yeah.
And so, you got to look at what time of the year it was. It's in February. The days are shorter. The last contact or known that they knew they were alive was around 2:13. Somebody was out there by 5. There was a big search party. Somebody would have seen lights in that area. It wasn't that far from the Monon Bridge, where if somebody's searching that area, that they don't see lights in that area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, they had to do it quick there in broad daylight. It doesn't sound like a very thought out plan. So I think that whatever plan they had went to crap.
Well, there's a comment here. I didn't know if they used dogs. Did they? I'm not really. I don't remember.
No,
that.
they didn't.
They didn't, right? They should have.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest complaints that was out there, is that they didn't use dogs. That they had to come from out of state or something like that.
Because I know they were getting help from another
from other agencies.
From other agencies, not from there, because the town's super small, right? How much was the population?
Like 3,000.
Yeah, that's super small. So yeah, they're gonna end up definitely needing help from different agencies.
Yeah, Donald says that they called them off. I mean, initially they didn't, and the news reports came out too on the Delphi case that there wasn't any foul play expected. They thought they were just missing, perhaps wandered off the trail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they still probably should have. I would have brought a dog. Even especially if they're alive, like even more so, because it's February in Indiana. Temperatures drop at night. You know what I mean? I understand the day was relatively warm, but temperatures drop at night. It's a very dark, wooded area. There's not lights out there or anything like that. They could fall in the water, things of that nature, come to like hypothermia, things like that. And so, with that being said, you would think that.
Do you think this case, like the search, were they searching for missing kids, or were they doing recovery? Because there's two different. They're way different. It kind of felt they were looking for a recovery instead of just missing kids, because not using a dog and not using local hunters and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost like they were just searching for a recovery mission.
I mean, the next day, they were looking. You're right. They were in hazmat suits walking through the river.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that makes sense. That makes sense. I wonder if they had by that point known something or found something. They just didn't relay it to the public.
It's still kind of. How long did it take? It took almost a whole day, right? No, not a whole day. Probably what? 18 hours, let's say.
For what?
How long did they missing? They were missing from like 1 o'clock, 1:30.
Yeah. They went missing at 2:30.
They were found.
They were reported missing at 5:30. They were found the next day around noon.
So let's say it's like 13 hours, 14 hours, right? Just to say, right? I mean,
about 18 or 20.
Almost a day, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like even that, like they weren't far off from where they got dropped off. They weren't far off from that that bridge,
Right.
on the hiking trail. It shouldn't have taken that long to find these girls.
Well, the problem is, and from what I understand, is the spot where they found them is kind of like a bowl, right? So if you were on the other side of the creek or even on that private trail road, you wouldn't be able to see them because it's kind of dipped in there, right? It was super dark. Like I mentioned before, they weren't reported missing until 5:33. So, by probably 5:45, everybody's out there walking the trails. They're looking through the trails area first, trying to retrace their steps that they know for sure they were at.
Yeah.
By the time they get to the part where they were at, it's probably about 6:30, 6:45, maybe even 7:30. It's dark then. There's no lights out there. There's nothing to show anything. So it would be difficult to see from one day to the next.
But
I mean, you look at the we broke down the Vanessa Gillian case. They did a search by the Leon River.
Yeah.
How many times? And they never found it. It was a construction workers that found the body.
True.
And so, even with this river, the search of the river that led to supposedly nothing from Kegan Kline, again, how big was the search with Vanessa? And that's not just the first one. You look at Brian Laundrie.
Yeah.
They couldn't find his body out there. The dad goes out there, and one day when she
10 minutes.
boom. Yeah, exactly where he said he was going to find him. And
but
so,
why would they? There's a comment. They quit looking at 1:30 in the morning, right? Usually, when a search party is either they stop searching is because the weather, right? I don't know how the weather was at that day, but
well, you got to also look at the area that they're in and the conditions that they're in. It's fairly dark out there. You don't want 2 people missing turning into 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? And so,
how big is that? How big is that hiking trail?
It's not very big at all. I mean, you look at this. You look at the fact that you could walk from that bridge to Richard Allen's house in 35 minutes. It's not a big area.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why weren't they found sooner?
Well, why weren't they found that night? I mean, like I said, I think it's just a matter of it getting dark. We had that article that came out, not that article, that website that we were looking at that referred to one of the comments from one of the grandmas that stated that she was told that the bodies were laying in the grass, kind of like it was hard to see. I mean, you also have to understand these girls they don't have any clothes on. This is fall, so the leaves are brown, they're tan, they're all these different colors. The grass is tan.
You think they were covered up a little bit?
Not necessarily covered up, but if their bodies are pale, cold, lifeless, kind of bluish,
blend.
You have it's going to blend into the grass that's also dead. It's wintertime, so the grass is, you know what I'm saying?
Could be.
And then you're looking at it also at dusk, going into night. It's going to be difficult to see.
Because like I was gonna say, like even if they were missing, they started searching at 5:30. I mean, even if they used FLIR, I don't know if they will work. I mean, but then again, there's a small community. So the local PD doesn't probably have that kind of, at hand. That device at hand.
Right. And then you also got to take into effect, these folks were looking for 2 girls that were alive. So they're looking for somebody standing. They're probably not looking for girls laying on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Could be.
And but BGH says you put a pin at their last known place and everyone walked around in concentric circles. They should have found them. Even if they did, though, do you think that it would have changed the outcome of how this case has gone to this point?
Yeah, but you could tell like there was mistakes from the local PD done.
Well,
that's every case.
I understand the mistakes, though. The mistake was you have a guy in Ronald Logan who is telling police a lie of where he was at. He came up with that alibi before the discovery of the body. So while the girls were still considered missing and not dead. So I understand why, you look at this person and you target him. The bodies were found on his property.
Yeah.
On him. You're going to focus on him until he's not a focus anymore. You find a phone, you find that these girls were somewhat of a victim of catfishing. And I don't know the extent of the pictures or the conversations that Libby had with Anthony Schott's profile, but the context is probably not the best. He's found himself in jail with 30 plus counts of child P.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you would can assume in that is probably not the best. So this person's a victim of at least that. There's conversations about meeting. There's conversations about, these little girls having sexual intercourse with his father, who's in his 40s, right?
Yeah.
Now, everybody's there to believe that he's talking about his legitimate father, but he could be talking about his buddy, who's just happens to be the same age as his dad, and
Or
say, yeah, he's my dad. It doesn't mean it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you have all these arrows pointing in different areas, and not just so much that they're pointing in different areas, that in most cases would be pointing at the right area. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you were to look at a case, 9 out of 10 times, the guy that's coming out with an alibi before the victims were found is usually the guy. And so you look that way. You find a guy who's committing other felonies and is trying to attempt to meet up with these little girls. You look in that direction. You know what I mean? So I get, looking in the direction that they did. But at the same token, I mean, you can only do with what you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I saw a comment where it says, let me see, where is it? There we go. Right here, this one. It says bodies were in a low spot that collected water, so they were hard to see from the creek. So you think that water itself washed a lot of evidence away?
Maybe.
That's
I
the
mean,
case, you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, there's possibility. It doesn't. So when you look at evidence from a victim, it's usually defensive wounds. You look at things underneath the nails, bite marks, if there's anything in their mouth, teeth, things of that nature.
Hair, I'm guessing?
Right. Hair in the grasp of their hands, if they grab their face, grab their hair. Maybe even fabric, if they grabbed onto clothes and ripped something off. You know what I'm saying? But hair falling off of the assailant onto the person. The search warrant said that there wasn't any sign of a fight or that this was done in like resistance. And so that tends to make me believe that they're probably, outside of maybe hair, there isn't skin or any of those things, right?
Well, I mean, what about, it could be the same thing as the other case, maybe he used a knife that didn't have that guard. And, with so much force, he probably cut himself too and left him blood DNA. You think that might be it?
Maybe, but I think that would be in the search warrant. And they would have to be in the search warrant for your DNA as well. You can't just collect DNA, and you have to put on there why you're collecting the DNA.
Yeah. So
what they did have in there was that there was unknown fibers and hairs, I believe. Those were what in the Ronald Logan search warrant.
Yeah.
That it was fibers and hair that was found. And so let me see. I'm actually looking at it right now. I know it's like a few pages, so I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Yeah. Like there's you heard of the missing 401 cases, right?
Yeah.
And you know how they search for hours throughout the night for these people that go missing in national parks. They use dogs. They use hundreds of volunteers. They use helicopters with FLIR. You know what I mean? You think this small community will come together and find these girls in a lot faster than they actually did. You know what I mean? In such a small, a way smaller area, a spot in that trail.
I mean, yes, but I reflect back to the Vanessa Gillian case where they had the area where they pinned for a while and they couldn't find the bodies. I mean, sometimes it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. It really is, especially in a big area like this.
Well,
and as far as calling off the search at a certain time, it goes back to, somebody has to take control of the situation and say 2 missing people can't turn into 4 or 6 because they're out there searching in the middle of the night, not looking at where they're going, not looking at what they're doing, and potentially could get, find themselves in trouble as well.
I doubt it, especially in such a small spot in that town.
But at that time, these girls were only considered missing, and so
yeah. But still, like I also go back to where national parks have, like all these volunteers and whatnot. I understand that the town's it's not as big, but you would expect them to search throughout the night,
Maybe.
At least, I don't even know if they put what's it called, like check stops, I guess you can say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you got to also,
it's a small town.
It's hindsight is 2020, but those checkpoints and things of that nature are usually deployed when you think that there's foul play. Initially, they didn't suspect foul play. They thought that they were missing. Now, right here, this is the Ronald Logan. I
don't think it would matter if it was foul play or just missing, man. I mean, there's 13, 14-year-old girls go missing. I would pretty much, I know kids nowadays are, they go missing.
No, I completely agree. But you also have to project manage your help. You know what I'm saying? So if you go and you create barriers and you put people out there to do a checkpoint to see people, that's less people in a town that's already limited in capacity searching for the girls. And so you kind of have to go based on the information that you have at the moment. Like, I understand you want to pull out all stops and do this, that, and a third, but you do that, you're limiting the amount of people that are able to search, and you at the end of the day still have to project manage the situation. That way you optimize your opportunity. You spend out there all night searching for somebody. Now you got 4 people missing. You have people that are tired. You have people that still need to go home and sleep because, somebody cannot work on 24, 48, 55 hours straight. You know what I'm saying? And so I understand the gravity of the case.
It still goes through the same thing that I said. That place was not big.
Right. I understand that. And I'm not saying that they were wrong or right or any of those things. I'm just saying that the fact that they didn't find them sooner, I don't think changes the outcome of any of this.
It doesn't, but it looks pretty bad that it took this long. It took that long,
It does, but you also have to look at the area that you're seeing. You have a population of 3,000. The law enforcement in that town is probably consumed of or brought up of maybe a couple of law enforcement officers. There's probably times throughout the day that there isn't a designated law enforcement officer or agency in charge of that area.
True.
I've known some places where here in Texas where they're super small that their department consists of like 4 members.
Yeah.
Totally. Out of those 4 members, only 2 people have a patrol car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, especially in a town like this one, right? Like, and what was it called? Delphi, right?
Delphi, Indiana, 3,000 people. I don't see that this being a place where it's going to be super packed with law enforcement officers.
Exactly. Not anymore. Now it's pretty packed with a lot of.
Right. And so if you look here, it says during the process of the crime scene investigations, investigators located unknown fibers and unidentified hairs, which may later be used for comparison for similar fibers or hairs. Now, if they found blood or any of those things, it would be specific in there because they would be used to identify a potential perpetrator. And so this leads me to believe there wasn't any blood, there wasn't any semen, there wasn't anything like that was found on the scene. So
They didn't. They also said there was no. Did they say that there was no sexual assault?
right, they said there was no sign of sexual assault in this case either.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be jumping off here in a minute. I gotta get ready for work tonight. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one.
let me tell you the story that happened to me today. That's pretty crazy. So today, my daughter lost the batteries to the remote, right?
Mhm.
So I went to like the Dollar Tree by my house, and there was always that last week we went there. There was a homeless guy laying outside on the floor, and
Mhm.
today there was another one laying out there, but it was raining. I was like, and my daughter's like, "Hey, look, that same homeless guy. She wanted to give him a blanket. So oh,
Yeah.
you forgot the blanket. We didn't bring one." But the weird part about it was like, hey, I walked by and my daughter kind of pointed at him. I kind of like just like nodded, "How you doing?" And then I walked in, right?
Yeah.
And then a couple seconds later, he just walks into the store and he just stands in the middle of the store and just like staring at everybody, man. And like we're just getting a couple things, and then when I'm checking out, he's still kind of staring at us. And then when I walk out, he walks out at the same time I do. He didn't buy nothing. It was pretty crazy, man. So I told my daughter I have remotes for my doors to open. So my daughter get in the car and I'll close them real quick, man. So I was like, yeah, man, it's kind of weird, So.
Yeah, man. Nowadays, man, you can't trust anybody, man. Anybody. And unfortunately, it's come to that, man. Like even before, wait, when I was a kid, man, we didn't have AC. We used to sleep with the damn doors open. You know what I mean? Just a screen door.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that nothing would happen. You know what I mean? It was a lot safer. Now it's like you never know, man. One day you can be alive, the next day you're gone.
Yeah, no. Things are crazy, man. Things are definitely crazy. But
Yes, sir.
yeah, so when I look at this search warrant here, I don't see anything.
Guys, you guys have a good night. Thanks everybody for being on the live. Y'all take care.
See you later,
man.
Blue.
Take care, man.
Haters, man.
And so they have 6 officers.
And then there was 2.
And then there was 2 of us. So Donald says he has 1 part-time officer that don't live far from Delphi. Yeah, and that's not surprising. It's a small area. It's a small department.
Definitely.
It's not going to, I'm not surprised by that. But, you look at this case as total, investigator or Superintendent Doug Carter stated, like, you got to look at what you know, not what you think. And there was a lot of theories that probably came out in this case.
Yeah.
That kind of took over, in my opinion.
Definitely. Even with us, we made a lot of theories too.
Exactly. And,
and I still don't know where it's going to end at.
Right, exactly. We won't know. Maybe tomorrow we'll get a clear picture of that. I'm hoping at least.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed that they're going to release the probable cause affidavit, but if they do, it's going to say a lot of information as to what happened.
Yeah.
Inspector Doug Carter came out and stated that he doesn't think that it would hinder the case at all by it coming out, and that it would answer a lot of questions. And so,
what's it called? I hope.
I'm not sure.
What does it say?
Delphi. It says a retired hippie says Delphi folks are saying we hope no one else gets hurt tomorrow. Yikes.
What's it called? I hope this press conference is a lot better than the first one we had. It was real vague. Remember?
Right.
It definitely is going to be really interesting to see how much details we get out of it, because it's going to fill those spots that we're doubtful about. You know what I mean? Right.
Mark Rogers, appreciate you coming in. You missed most of the show.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll forgive you if you hit that like.
Yes, sir, and that subscribe button. And I would recommend probably get going to maybe 10 minutes in. That's when we start. But yeah, no, this one's actually getting kind of long in the tooth, guys. We'll be jumping off here pretty soon.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, tomorrow we're going to go live again tomorrow afternoon. What time do you think we'll be going live tomorrow?
Oh man, the press conference is at 9?
It's 9 in the morning. Yeah, but that's I believe that's in Indiana. I'm not sure if that's Central Time or Eastern Time, because I know I think Indiana is in Eastern. And so, thank you very much, Steve Young.
Whoa.
I appreciate it.
The QB?
The quarterback? I have no idea. It could be.
Central. See?
Oh, is it Central? All right, cool. So we'll be it'll be 9:00 our time. I know we plan on going after you guys get out of work. What time do you think you guys will be ready to rock and roll?
I'll be good by 4, man. I guess. Give me 4:30. But I mean,
so
if you want, we can go live as it happened. Maybe like 5-10 minutes later. I don't know if you're gonna be busy. I mean, I can probably get away from work for a little bit.
Yeah, we can do a little quick live in the morning right after it airs, and we get a little bit of it. We'll talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a bigger in-depth line by line on the probable cause affidavit and what it means. I enjoy going through the affidavit and explaining what it means. There's some content guys that are out there that, not to bash anybody, but they just maybe don't have the experience of being in law enforcement to understand some of the verbiage and the way they use it, and take things out of context. And so, I'll be able to give you guys a pretty clear understanding of it.
You know what? I was thinking about it. Mark, you're going to have to give us a like and buy us a beer. And we'll forgive you.
We'll forgive you. I forgot to mention I hope I put it in there. I may not have.
I hope so.
Let me see. But in the comments or in the description, if you want to, there's a couple of ways that you can help out the show. The first one is subscribing. That's always going to help. The second one, if you want to, and I didn't, I'm putting it in now.
Oh my God.
If you want to help with the show and buy us a beer, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/drunkturkey. Until we get monetized, that's the only way we can get, help to do what it is that we do on the show financially, so to speak.
Yeah.
Once we get monetized, super chats and memberships and stuff like that's going to happen. We're a relatively new channel, guys, covering murder mysteries and true crime just here recently. We also do other content here. We cover alcohol, we do beer reviews, we interview guests, filmmakers, musicians, actors, things of that nature. We're going to still make true crime one of the main focuses of our show, but just to let everybody know, we have more than just that. And so, with that said, do you have any last questions or comments there, Jaime, before we let everybody else go?
No, man. I just want to say that it's a sad, situation, including from Idaho, the students, to Delphi, to Jason, from the Green Ranger passing away. It's pretty crappy, man. It's pretty sad, and I hope the families get closure. That's for sure. And and if anybody needs to talk, have those kind of thoughts and feelings, they need to talk. They can reach out, and get some help, the help they need to get through those tough times in their life.
Yeah. And if again, our condolences and our thoughts and prayers go out to the families involved in all these situations. Like Jaime mentioned, it's a sad weekend, and having to cover this too it's sad watching and seeing such young lives, taken such an immature time. It's horrible, but hopefully justice will come for all these victims, and it'll be appropriate justice.
Some closure for the families.
Yes. If you're watching this on the replay, so the replay crew, please hit that like and subscribe. Leave us your thoughts and theories in the comment section. With that being said, guys, I'm Daniel J. This is Jaime G. We're the Drunk Turkey Show. Peace.
There you go.
For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby Chapin?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about 50
A
feet.
suspect in the criminal investigation out of Fort Hood is dead. Officials say he killed himself overnight.
They needed that little music in the background that goes, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed it.
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
With him, they dropped the ball, man. Like, they said he went AWOL. And that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate. With the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Right. He sees him taking off with the wife. They end up finding the wife murdered with the baby out of her, and they found the baby in another place.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe.